welcome to the Nikki Maduro Show. I'm Nikki Maduro. She's Kim McAllister. Hit that subscribe button and throw up a thumbs up to help support the show. Sweating our butts off here on the Nikki Maduro Show. The West Coast is in this heat wave, and so things are getting hot, but we're here for you. Stay cool. Bring your pets inside as well. I wanted to walk my dog today, Kim, and I was like, you know what? Let's just sit in front of the fan. Let's not walk them. So if you can't put your hand on the cement, what is it, like a few seconds? That's what the dog and the cats and everybody feel. Animals inside. Okay, so
can you hear the ceiling fan going? Does it sound really loud?
Hold on. No, I can't hear anything.
Okay, good.
You know what? Everybody should have their fans going right now. So I bet everybody
it makes the biggest difference. I'm so glad I put a ceiling fan in almost every room of the house when we moved in, and I'm like, I've never regretted it. My mom said ceiling fans are out of style.
No, you need it.
And I'm like, I don't really care if it's out of style because I like the airflow in every room.
No, you need it. You need it, absolutely. And that's, this heat wave that we're going through right now, it's early. Like, people are saying this is like 3 weeks earlier than we normally see in our neck of the woods. But it kind of is a good segue into what we're talking about, which, of course, is President Biden. It's now in effect, has unveiled a new immigration order that severely limits asylum seekers. The ACLU is already after it. A lot of people are saying, there's heat waves. People are just going to be, are traveling such a long distance in the heat. I want to play you a little bit of President Biden's announcement. Let us know in the comments what you think about this ruling, because, I'm a bit torn, but here's President Biden making the announcement.
Today, I'm joined by a bipartisan group of governors, members of Congress, mayors, law enforcement officials, most of whom live and work along the southern border. They know the border is not a political issue to be weaponized. The responsibility we have to share to do something about it. They don't have time for the games played in Washington. Neither do the American people. So today, I'm moving past Republican obstruction and using the executive authorities available to me as president to do what I can on my own to address the border. Frankly, I would have preferred to address this issue through a bipartisan legislation because that's the only way to actually get the kind of system we have now that's broken fixed, to hire more Border Patrol agents, more asylum officers, more judges. But Republicans have left me no choice. Today, I'm announcing actions to bar migrants who cross our southern border unlawfully from receiving asylum. Migrants will be restricted from receiving asylum at our southern border unless they seek it after entering through an established lawful process. And those who seek to come to the United States legally, for example, by making an appointment and coming to a port of entry, asylum will still be available to them, still available. But if an individual chooses not to use our legal pathways, if they choose to come without permission and against the law, they'll be restricted from receiving asylum and staying in the United States. This action will help us gain control of our border, restore order into the process. This ban will remain in place until the number of people trying to enter illegally is reduced to a level that our system can effectively manage.
All right. I'm torn, and I'll tell you why. We know the system is broken. We know the asylum system, the immigration system in this country has been an S show for decades under Republican, Democratic presidents. It has not worked. It just doesn't work. On the other hand, I don't know if this is going to work either. I understand, the idea of we want an orderly asylum process, but that's just not what we have right now. And to think that we could just flip the switch. So this order, like you just said at the end there, can be turned on and off. It will be lifted when the daily average of less than 1,500 encounters in between ports of entry. So an encounter is literally just seeing you, not sure if you're allowed to be there or not. Obviously, most of the time they are trying to get into the country. Unaccompanied children, victims of severe form of trafficking, those who present an acute medical emergency or an imminent and extreme threat to life and safety are exempt. Migrants can also still request an appointment through the Customs and Border Protection application known as CBP1 to present their asylum claim at the port of entry. I just feel like this needs to be done because Republicans, because of former President Donald Trump, failed to pass that bipartisan bill. This is pretty much a lot of what that bill was going to do, Kim.
Mm-hmm. Maybe the people that wanted something done and are railing about immigration, mostly Republicans, right, will think to themselves, well, he's done something.
Yeah.
But I don't think so.
No.
I don't think it, regardless of how many calls they made for something like this to happen, now that it has, all it does is takes this and sets it aside, and they're still going to go after him for other things.
They're still going to go after him about this. I mean,
Yeah.
I've already heard some people on the Republican side saying, one, he's only doing this because it's an election year. And to that, I would say that's the reason why you didn't vote for your bipartisan border bill, is
Right.
because Trump told you not to give him a win in an election year. And then the other is, it doesn't go far enough. Well, it's something. On the Democratic side, the House Progressive leader, Pramila Jayapal, not happy about it. Let me play you a little bit of what she was telling reporters about this new order.
What's happening at the border cannot be solved by enforcement actions only. What it really needs is a modernization of the entire legal immigration system and legal pathways and resources to process people. Two things that Republicans have been completely unwilling to provide. When Donald Trump tried to shut down the border, it didn't work. I'm disappointed that the president has, sort of gone into the same frame as Donald Trump at a very time when we need to make a distinction between Donald Trump and Joe Biden.
So that was a Democrat standing.
Oh, let me shut that down. So
I don't disagree with her. Do you?
I don't disagree with her, but at the same time, something needs to be done. We need to take steps. Like, is one executive order or one bill going to handle every single issue? Of course not. And, is it an election year? Yes. But Biden has been talking about working across the aisle on this for a long time. I was on social media when this, kind of broke. And a lot of people, even immigrants that had come to this country, had said, it doesn't matter what you really do. They're going to come. They're going to keep coming. I hate to use the house on fire analogy, but for many people, it's that. It's like, I don't care what rules or what punishment, anything over there is better than what I'm experiencing over here. So I'm going to go. And to travel, again, like I mentioned at the top, to travel this distance and at this time of year in this heat, the threat to life, how dangerous it is. To think that people are just going to be like, Biden gave an executive order and that's going to stop them. I don't think so. What we really do need, and what I do agree with Jayapal about, is Congress needs to work together. There is so much more that needs to be done, more than just, you guys can't come, we're shutting down the asylum system. I mean, what does that really do? You still need the judges. You still need the border patrol. You still need all of the human infrastructure and technology to do it. So is this really just for show? I don't know, but I'm curious to see, now that the executive order is in place, what the consequence is going to look like, what the optics are going to be for the people that do not listen to it. Now, Trump had, of course, the whole stay in Mexico kind of order, right? And then we saw the cages and we saw all these sorts of things. I don't know how Biden is going to avoid those optics, given the fact that they are still, and I don't want to talk about they as in they're not human beings. So these people are dollars to donuts still going to come. What do you do with them then? How do you handle that? And I don't know what that's going to look like.
I don't know either. Monday of this week, you talked about encounters. There were 3,500 encounters.
Okay. And this order is in place until it drops down to 1,500. So, more than half is going to have to happen. And I'm not complimenting Trump with this, and I don't know if Biden's trying to do it, but in a nicer way. But there is something to be said with the power of rhetoric, right? Like, the warnings, this sort of thing. But without a follow through, without a punishment, right? It's similar to, just crime in a city. It's unless you're actually punishing the people are going to come and kind of gamble with it. Like, they'll roll the dice. We'll see if they really mean it. We'll see what that actually means. We'll see. They can't wrangle all of us, right? It's just, when so many people come at one time, day in and day out? What is Biden truly going to do? I don't know, but it's it's something I hope he has thought about. I hope he has an actual plan. Now he said, I believe that this is President Biden. I believe that immigration has always been a lifeblood of America. Or constantly renewed by an infusion of people and new talent. The Statue of Liberty is not some relic of American history. It stands for who we are as United States. So I will never demonize immigrants. I'll never refer to immigrants as poisoning the blood of a country. And further, I'll never separate children from their families at the border. I will not ban people from this country because of their religious beliefs. I will not use the U.S. military to go into neighborhoods all across the country to pull millions of people out of their homes and away from their families, to put in detention camps awaiting deportation, as my predecessor says he will do if he occupies the office again.
It's funny because I had that same passage highlighted to read to you next. And I'll tell you, that's huge because it goes point by point by point of after all the things that Trump has either done or said he will do. And it makes a big distinction between treating people with respect while still realizing that we need rules and we need to slow the flow of people into the country down.
Right.
And treating people like they're garbage and trash without any humanity at all.
Yeah.
And I think that's a pretty important distinction.
And I do think that there is something to be said with working with the home countries. You know what I mean? I feel like if we can, and I know it's not our job and we have problems at home, but this is a problem, an international problem that becomes a domestic problem, right? So you can say, oh, what do we care about the situation in Guatemala or El Salvador or wherever, or Mexico, right? It's not our problem. We have our own problems. Well, if we can work with those governments, if there's some way of getting a better ROI on our investment and finding a way, not for them to stay in Mexico a la Trump, but to stay home where they probably want to be. Like, I don't think it's a huge thing that these people want to leave because they hate where they live. It's more along the lines of the situation in which they live, is what I understand. Most of them are escaping. And yes, I'm sure many have the American dream and oh, I want to live on the California beach or whatever. I get that. But I think that a lot of these people seeking asylum are saying, I just don't want to worry that my husband's going to be murdered. I don't want my young child, tossed into these gangs and forced to commit these crimes. I don't want my daughter to fear, being assaulted on the streets. Those are valid fears that I think anybody, no matter where you live, what country you live in, would want to escape from. And so if we can be empathetic in that way, but also understand the whole world can't live within our borders, we need to figure out a way to make this work. I don't know politically, Kim, if this is going to be enough to kind of switch people and be like, well, now I'm not going to vote for Donald Trump, the convicted felon. I'm going to vote for Biden now that he says he's going to do something about it. It's still so much politics for something that really shouldn't be. We should be working as a country to figure this out.
Yeah, we should be. But we won't, and it won't matter because we're divided. We're divided over weird stuff and charisma and being a strong man. And I don't necessarily think the issues are important to people who support Trump.
Right.
So we're
exactly.
divided in weird ways. And I don't know if that makes a difference as far as who's going to vote for whom.
Well, if you're wondering what the convicted felon Donald Trump was thinking, he wrote on his social media site, Truth Social, quote, "Crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country by far, has totally surrendered our southern border. His weakness and extremism have resulted in a border invasion like we've never seen before." Not true. And he says other countries have emptied out their prisons, insane asylums, and mental institutions and sent us drug dealers, human traffickers, and terrorists. Millions of people have poured into our country. And now, after nearly 4 years of his failed, weak leadership, pathetic leadership, crooked Joe Biden is pretending to finally do something about the border. He is the one that stopped the bipartisan border bill, Donald J. Trump. If he really cared, if he actually cared, he would have said, you know what? Politics aside, this is a major issue that faces our country. I am glad as Americans to work together to figure out an empathetic, a moral, path for us to deal with the immigration system that we have in this country. We need legal immigration. We want these workers. I mean, so many of these people, no matter where they live in the world, have come here and been great successes, brought so much to our country. And we seem to just throw that away because we stay locked in on the terrible headlines and the what ifs. Well, what if it's a terrorist that blows up a building? Well, any of that can happen. You know, any Americans, domestic terrorism happens here too. We can live in that world, or we can figure out a way together to address it. And, I kind of hope that it makes it. I wonder how this is going to also play, Kim, in the upcoming debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Because if Donald Trump tries to throw this in Joe Biden's face, I'm sure Joe Biden's going to be like, weren't you the one that said no to the bipartisan bill that would do some of this stuff? And it'll be interesting to see and how that plays out. I don't know. I forget the date of the debate. Let me look it up real quickly. The Biden debate is for June 27th. Okay. So about 3 weeks. So a lot can happen between now and then, not least of which is going to be the repercussions of this executive order that Biden signed.
Which goes into effect at midnight.
Yeah, so it's already in effect. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's already in effect. And again, it's just words. That's all it is. Yeah. We don't know if people are actually going to listen to it, but it'll definitely be interesting to see how it plays out. Real quickly, I also wanted to touch on the Hunter Biden case. Apparently today, there's going to be some sort of embarrassing testimony about Hunter Biden. I mean, this is what I imagine it being: him naked in a hotel room doing drugs and being with like naked ladies. Like that's the picture we've all seen, right? Like we've all seen this picture. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think, blew it up and like had it behind her because she's obsessed.
She's so awful.
She is so freaking awful. So again, I was listening to some recaps and reading some recaps, and it's going to be embarrassing for not just Hunter, but of course the Biden family. I don't know, again, how sympathetic or unsympathetic people are going to be, given the fact, like what we talked about yesterday. Most people do know somebody with a drug addiction. Yeah. They know that they lie. The prosecutor, Derek Hines, apparently displayed a message that Hunter Biden allegedly sent to Haley Biden, which is the widow of his brother Beau, that indicated he was waiting for a dealer back in October of 2013. Another message, Hunter Biden allegedly said he was sleeping in a car, smoking crack cocaine. They're obviously just setting this up with, Hunter, you were doing drugs when you signed this form for the gun. And it's like, duh. I mean, it's because of this plea deal that fell through that we need to go through these machinations. But, he's pleading not guilty, but I think that's just kind of a move that his defense is doing.
Sure.
But, again, it's not Joe Biden up there. It's Hunter Biden, who's had a long history of problems and drug addiction. And it's just really, really sad, Kim. I do feel for the president, and I feel for his whole family. You know what I mean? I really, really do.
Think of somebody like smoking crack cocaine and sleeping in their car. Mm-hmm. You think that like they've hit rock bottom.
Yes,
you
absolutely.
Look at where he came from and all the opportunities he's had in his life, and that's where he ended up. Right?
Well, he's also had a lot of tragedy in his life.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, he's had a ton of tragedy in his life, just like the president has. Yeah. And I'm sure, like, also living in the shadow of his brother Beau, who then became tragically sick and then died. And then, I couldn't handle losing one relative, let alone so many very important people in my life. Mm-hmm. And drug addiction can happen to anybody, even with the best of lives. So I really do think that all of these freaking politicians that are bagging on Hunter Biden for his drug addiction, how many you want to bet have a drug problem of their own? I'm not saying, and I'm not naming names, but let's stop throwing stones, or at least have someone in their lives that have dealt with something like that, and just be a little, kind. But again, if Hunter Biden is found guilty and the sentencing judge makes whatever decision they make, we live with it. We don't start crying foul and start going, we're going to ask the Supreme Court to step in like the losers that they are.
There's a judge and a jury, and they'll sort it out.
Exactly. Yeah. So, again, we'll just continue following all of that. Okay, well, we have a few minutes. Let's do something a little bit different, a little bit fun, that has to do with a bit of music. Now, you were telling me before the show that Brian Copeland, our old colleague over at KGO. He's awesome. He's out with a new book, by the way. If you could pick it up, Outraged. a Topher Davis thriller by Brian Copeland. Pick it up at your bookstores. But he also put out this list that you were like kind of looking at and wondering if I would agree with it. And it's
You have
Rolling.
the picture?
I do. Rolling Stones. Hold on. Let me save it real quick. Rolling Stones list of the greatest female singers of all time. I love when people say of all time. I'm like, well, I'm the worst music fan ever. Absolutely the worst music fan.
They have to redo the list every few years because there are new people that come on the scene. So of all time,
and then what do you
is
consider
constantly
like
changing.
the best voice? Like there are some haunting voices that I would say aren't the strongest, right? Like, is that what we're talking? Are we talking about the actual instrument of the voice?
I think so. And when you look at the list, that's what it seems like to me.
Okay, so here's the list. It's really it's small though, so we're gonna have to go down it.
There are also some people that I feel like they're amazing recording artists, and their music is great, even though they're not the strongest vocalist, like Madonna.
Okay. So let's go. Let's start at the bottom.
Okay.
Number 20, Linda Ronstadt. I mean, yeah, she's a good singer. Number 19 is Mavis Staples. I will apologize to Staples fans. I don't know her music. I might if I heard it, so forgive me. I'm the worst music fan, so don't judge me. Ella Fitzgerald, again, a really unique, great voice. This one surprised me. I think of this entire list of people that I know, Ariana Grande. She has a great voice. But I would have never thought to put her on the list.
She hits notes that are amazing, and she has a really excellent range.
Okay.
So I say yes to her on that list.
Etta James. I love Etta James. Great voice. Aaliyah. Now, Aaliyah's life was cut extremely short. I did like her music. Again, not someone I would instantly put in a list like this, though. So forgive me, Aaliyah fans. I'm not. But again, she had a very, abbreviated career, for lack of a better word. Dusty Springfield.
Well, I was looking.
I don't know who that is.
I was looking at a lot of lists because I kind of wanted to compare who used to be on the list and who is now. And Dusty Springfield always makes the list. And
really?
Now I want to go
Son of
back.
a Preacher Man. Oh, that's who she sings. Son of a Preacher Man.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Sorry. Forgive me, guys. I'm Googling it as we go. I really do love that song. I don't know if I know any other songs from Dusty Springfield, but there we go. Shaka Khan, another powerful, great voice. Malia Jackson.
I don't know who she is.
Malia Jackson. Again, Malia Jackson. Okay, so she's a gospel singer. Anybody that starts off as a gospel singer, hands down, probably one of the best.
Usually has a great voice, like a Whitney Houston kind of deal.
Exactly. Who's also on the list. She's coming.
Aretha.
Dolly Parton.
Yeah. Okay.
Dolly Parton coming in at number 10. Yes.
Yeah.
Again, she has a strong voice in a different type of way, though. Mary J. Blige coming in at number 9. Another very powerful voice. Adele was not a surprise to me at all. I definitely was putting her in our list. Nina Simone. I mean, she sung obviously my opening song on my show at KGL. Love her. Celia Cruz.
I don't know her.
So Celia Cruz, also known, she's a Cuban singer. One of the most popular Latin artists of the 20th century.
I wish we could play samples of
We
their
can't,
music to
I
kind
know.
of figure it out. I know.
Sorry, we would totally get dinged and you wouldn't be able to hear it. Patsy Cline, another
Love her.
unique, great voice. And then we're getting into the obviouses, okay?
Yeah.
Number 4, Beyonce. Number 3, Mariah Carey. Number 2, Whitney Houston. And number 1, Aretha Franklin.
Yeah.
And I would agree with every single one of those. Honestly, I don't have any. I would put, the only one, and again, I like Patsy Cline. I'm not knocking it. I put Adele at number 5, if I was going to be honest. Just for the strength of the voice, I would put Adele. I mean, that woman can just, and not knocking Patsy Cline. I'm not knocking her. I'm just saying the way that Adele, she hits notes with like such ease that I'm like, how does that even happen?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Do you like, I like the list. Let us know in the comments.
Who would you add?
What you think? Who would I add?
Now Taylor Swift isn't on there.
Now Taylor Swift has a
J
good
Lo
voice.
isn't on there. Barbara Streisand isn't on there.
That's a good one. Barbara Streisand is a great voice. I mean, there's
Donna
just
Summer's not on there.
no.
When you think like divas, Celine Dion is not on there.
That's an interesting one as
Yeah.
well. Good points. All right, let us know in the comments who is not on. And again, this is 20. If we went to 100, I'm sure it didn't include all those people. Top 20 list of the greatest female singers of all time. And apparently, according to Brian Copeland, he was the opening act for two of them, Aretha Franklin and Etta James. Which,
Oh, cool.
I mean, if you had to put anything on your freaking resume,
That's
it's
the
definitely
thing.
it's definitely that. You know,
Yeah.
but I love other haunting voices, and I also think when you say of all times, we go back so far back into
Right.
history that we beyond Aaliyah and some of these other artists. It's hard to pick the newer people because there's such amazing voices from
What about
history.
like Billie Eilish? Now, different kind of voice.
Different kind of voice. I can't sing that high and that quiet. I think that's an amazing talent. You know what I mean? Madonna was not on the list.
No.
Who's iconic but amazing voice? I'm
No.
not, Celine Dion. You got me with Celine
She
Dion.
doesn't. Madonna is not a belter.
No.
You know, she's a pop singer,
Yeah,
but
she's a
she
pop
doesn't like
singer.
hit the high notes and really belt it out. She
Yeah.
she stays within her range, which is great.
Exactly.
But when you're talking about the greatest female singer of all time, I think you're looking for someone who fits every bill.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly right.
The high notes when they're soaring make the little hairs on the back of your neck stand up.
And I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston, those people absolutely do it for me every single time.
Yeah.
All right, that's our show. Click that thumbs up button, you guys, to show your support. And please make sure you have subscribed. And thank you to everybody that's donating in the super chat, even under this new format. We appreciate you. We love you. I'm trying to make sure that I thank you guys as much as possible each and every day because we can't do the show without you. The number one way to support us, of course, is through PayPal and Patreon. If you want to do our monthly Patreon, we would love you to do that. Just go to thenikkimadoroshow.com. The Patreon link is there. If you like PayPal as much as we do, we love it. Go to paypal.com. Hit the send button and then put in the email address, thenikkimadoroshow@gmail.com. And then support our sponsor, Auntie Tabby's Island Flavors, by going to auntietabbies.com. You see it right there on your screen. The coupon code Nick Kim gets you 10% off the hibiscus hot sauce, the pineapple hot sauce, the guava barbecue sauce that is so perfect for your barbecues. It's hot. You don't want to turn on your oven, right? Go barbecue outside. Leave the heat out there and put this sauce on your food because it is so freaking good. All right, we will be back tomorrow. Thank you guys so much. We love you guys. Bye-bye.
Nikki, you're oh so awesome. You sprout like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're oh so awesome.
Wow. Okay.